There was a ton of hype built up around the 2018 Kia Stinger originally released last year. Why? Well, it's because you didn't have to shop at an expensive dealership to get your hands on an actual sports sedan. Rather, the Korean-derived Kia Stinger now offers similar performance metrics for a fraction of the cost. And I must tell you, both the design and performance is exceptional. So let's not waste time and let's go check this thing out. Now, the name of the game of the sports sedan segment is to combine both comfort and performance into the same package. Kia's objective is to compete against its German rivals, mainly the BMW 3 Series and the Audi A4 Series. That said, the Kia Stinger's got performance metrics to back that statement up. It's got a 3.3-liter V6 twin turbocharged engine producing 365 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque. It's also got Brembo brakes to stop on a dime and dynamic damping suspensions to control both the comfort and performance of the ride. Now, there is one major problem though. To get all that sweet stuff, you have to either opt for the GT or the GT Limited trim. And the Kia dealership, it's not exactly a place that you would call a bargain basement. The GT trim will cost $45,000, while the GT Limited will cost a base price of $50,000. Now, the lowest of the three trims, the GT line that we have here, you get none of that. No V6, no dynamic suspensions, and no Brembo brakes. Rather, you get a smaller 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 255 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. The good news though is that you get all-wheel drive and torque vectoring control with an 8-speed automatic gearbox standard across all three trims. And the price is going to be a little bit less at $40,000 base price. Let's talk about the design for a bit. In an initial glimpse, the Kia Stinger looks dense, giving you an impression that there's absolutely no wasted space. And that particularly applies for the front fascia design. Now in the front, you've got these two vertical air vents to cool down the disc brakes, as well as two complementary grille mesh with a top material made out of chrome. Kia calls this the flat-nosed tiger front grille. You've also got these responsive headlamps that responds to the steering input and the road pitch. Alright, so in the back, we've got quad chrome tip exhaust pipes, as well as an integrated spoiler and a fastback tailgate design where both the tail lid and the rear windshield go up. Now the inside, you'll get about 660 liters of cargo space, and with the rear seats folded down, that increases to almost double at 1,158 liters. Now before we check out the inside, I just want to mention how cool this key fob is. It's actually leather wrapped and it feels really dense and also in the cool shape of a butane lighter. Now the driving position of the Kia Stinger makes you feel really connected to the car. That is because the distance between your eyes and the front windshield is relatively close, while the height of the windshield is relatively short. The steering wheel is also flat bottom with perforated leather material and really deep grooves around the thumb area to give you a really assertive grip. It's also got paddle shifters to control the 8-speed automatic transmission in sequential mode. Now don't get your expectations too high. The infotainment screen is 7-inch only, making it feel really small, and the UI also feels very sluggish. The rear view camera is also of low resolution, meaning you can't actually see all the way to the side corners of the rear bumper. The liftgate is also not power lifted, and the GT line that we have here has no moonroof, making it feel a little bit caved in. But the GT and the GT Limited does come with an additional moonroof. Sports sedan segment, there are alternatives. You can get the Acura RLX or the TLX or the Infiniti Q50 or the BMW 3 Series if you can afford it. But what really makes the Kia Stinger stand out and what made it so exciting when it first came out was because of the 3.3-liter twin turbocharged engine and the sheer amount of power that it generates, 365 horsepower to be exact. And that is pretty incredible considering the fact that it came from a Kia brand. I mean, just a few years ago, Kia wasn't really in the spotlight. I mean, they did have the Kia Optima, but nothing really that really stood out in the performance realm. I mean, they did also have the Genesis series, but then that was also in the really high up in the price range. Now, I really like how the Kia Stinger drives. It's really quiet, it's really composed, and it's actually really comfortable. I can actually also control the biasing of the all-wheel drive system through the drive mode configurator in the custom menu. And in the all-wheel drive configuration, I can actually control an eco mode to make it more front-wheel drive to improve on fuel economy, or comfort to have a better bias between front and rear, or in sport mode to have it more rear bias, or other case, more rear-wheel drive oriented. Now, despite the fact that the GT line doesn't have dynamic suspensions, the car still feels really composed and really comfortable and actually able to absorb bumps fairly well, which I'm actually really impressed. But where the ultimate flaw lies in is unfortunately the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. There is a significant amount of turbo lag, especially when you press on the gas pedal. And there isn't really a lot of pedal travel, actually. Now, what also makes a Kia Stinger so amazing is the torque vectoring available with the all-wheel drive system standard across 3 models. I mean, the handling is just so smooth and so composed, and I really enjoy it. You can actually really throw it around the corner without hesitation. What that does is it really allows the Kia Stinger to really handle so well and so smooth around corner. You can really feel the car pushing into the corner because it's trying to apply more torque on the outside wheel, thus forcing the vehicle into the corner with more force. And it feels incredible. Now, I mean, just a few years ago, Kia wasn't not exactly a very exciting brand. I mean, sure, they had the Optima, but really it was just a sedan to get from A to B. I mean, it did look really well because Peter Schleicher, the former designer of Audi, was taking design lead for the Kia brand. And that is until the Kia Stinger came out last year, where it was really hyped up in the sense that now the sports sedan segment is now introduced in a mid-tier brand, especially under Kia. Now, I mean, sports sedans also do exist for the Kia derivative brand under the Genesis. Now, what's really flawed with the Kia Stinger, particularly with the GT line, is the amount of turbo lag with the 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine. I mean, there's not a lot of pedal travel, and even when I'm pressing it, it takes almost a full second for the engine to respond. But the worst part is that when you're letting go of the throttle, the engine is still accelerating. That's just really an undesirable driving experience. And not only that, but it also compromises safety because the effect is essentially you're pressing on the brakes and on the gas pedal at the same time. For example, when I was driving and I had to make an abrupt stop, I was pressing on the brakes, but I could still feel the engine applying torque to the wheels, which is really disappointing. And I really hope that Kia fixes this. Now, I mean, yes, it does have 255 horsepower, but in this case, it's not all about numbers. I mean, there's no point in pumping out high horsepowers when you can't even control the car in itself. That said, you might as well just detune the engines or just get rid of the turbocharged engine altogether and just make it naturally aspirated, or just detune the turbocharged engine as a whole. It's really a shame because the handling is just so good with the torque vectoring system, but that's really flawed by the turbocharged engine with the lack of responsiveness and compromising safety and stability under braking. But I still really like the Kia Stinger. It's really comfortable, it feels very natural, and I really like the driving position, how it makes you feel really connected to the car. And the interior is fairly quiet as well. I mean, Kia has done a really good job in creating a pretty good overall driving experience and really trickling down some of the luxury features that weren't available a few years before into the Kia Stinger. And at a $40,000 price point, I'm really not complaining much. And I really like the fastback tailgate design in the sense that it gives you a lot of extra cargo space, especially when you pull down the rear seats. Other than that, I really don't have much to complain about the Kia Stinger. I mean, yes, the interior is a little bit bland. There's not much of a theme going on, but still, it gets the job done, and it just feels really comfortable and natural per se. There's not a lot of gimmickry to impress me, so that's something that I really appreciate about the Kia Stinger in a sense that it's creating a positive driving experience while trying to trick you into thinking you're a winner. It doesn't try to dress to impress, but rather it drives to impress. Now, in terms of fuel economy, you're going to get about 11.1 liters per 100 kilometers for the 4-cylinder engine, which is not exactly great, but it's still better than the V6, which gets about 13.2 liters per 100 kilometers. Well, there you guys have it. The 2019 Kia Stinger, and particularly with the GT line, certainly got a lot to offer, but that's not without some fundamental flaws that Kia's got to work out. But really, you do have to get the GT or the GT line to get the ultimate experience. That's all I got for today. Let me know what you guys think, and until next time.